Welcome to the 21st Bold Cameroonian Arts Award on set. My name is Foo Chi Wei. Today we are talking with representatives from Verse and Now We Shall Pray, Dhinesha by Theatresauce. Welcome on set.
Thank you, Jire. Thank you for having me.
Let's tell me about the title of the play. I'm very curious about that because I love We Shall Pray. Now We Shall Pray.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate?
So verse/and now we shall pray. It actually started as and now we shall pray. That was the first play that was written. And along the process of writing it, I felt that this play needed something else, another level, another layer. So then it became a play within a play. And it felt like the other play also needed a name. So verse came about. And verse means a lot of things in different communities. But I think for me, verse in this context is this idea of religious verses and things like that. So I wanted a word to start the play that it could mean many things. So some people will get one meaning and another person will get different meaning.
Yeah, for example, I understood it as versatile because it's an indication of the role in the play.
Correct. Okay. So yes, I was playing versatility, but I was also playing with verse, the religious part. Because the play plays with a lot of that, right? Both relationship and religion.
So if you have to describe a verse and now we shall play as a kind of voice, what will you describe it as?
I would say it's the voice of a small boy trying to say something to his grandmother, but she's no longer around. Yeah, I would say it's that.
So that's come from a personal place.
Yeah, it comes from a very personal place.
So can you
Sure.
elaborate on that?
So in 2023, my grandmother was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. So for a lot of 2023 and 2024, it was a lot of us being in the hospital, right? With her home hospital. I think as a family, we put a lot of our life on hold to hold her. And I'm very close to my grandmother. I'm the eldest grandchild.
That must be difficult for you. Then.
Grandchild, grandson, we have such a deep relationship. So when she passed, I didn't know how to come back to my art. I didn't know how to write again. I didn't know how to feel everything that I was feeling. And this play that I've been working on since 2019 suddenly started speaking to me again. And art people, we use all these terms, right? Speaking to me. But really, I felt the characters again. And then I thought to myself, okay, maybe as I write this, I can process that grief. And so then that's what happened. The play became this character trying to deal with his grief, but also dealing with love and relationships and God. And so then that's why I say a boy trying to tell something to his grandmother.
When was the actual point when you found that, okay, this is it, it's speaking to me? When the actual...
I want to say, so my grandmother passed in August 2024. I think at the end of 2024, the characters came back again. So I have playlists for all of my plays. And I started wanting to play this playlist again. The songs wanted to play again. So I started listening to it again. And Izzat and Vinod, who are the central characters, came back again. Yeah, so it was end of 2024, and then I started working on it, leading up to the staging in mid-2025.
Why do you think that moment that actually propel and suddenly make it clearer for you?
My grandmother was my first storyteller. She used to read me the Hindu epic, the Ramayana, to put me to sleep. So every day
it's a long one.
It's long. So every chapter, one chapter, and then afternoon nap. One chapter, afternoon nap. That was the relationship. So I have a different play called Ravayana, which is very much inspired by her telling me this story. So when she passed, I thought the best way to honor her memory was to write that play, to edit that play. But then an instinct told me that you need to process your grief first before you can honor her with that play. Which is why then this play became the thing. So then I started putting my attention here, and it was very clear because it was... So Hindus have this belief that in the 1 year after a person passes, there's a lot of things you cannot do, a lot of pantang. So it was very clear, the instinct that you cannot touch this other play until her 1 year prayers is over. And so that's why this play became the focus, why I focused on verse.
So when you were saying that, this is actually something that you need to process, before you can tell her story. When you process it, is this play tap into your personal experiences?
Yeah, so I think this play is made up of the three versions of me that tried to write it. So there's the version of me that tried to write it in 2019. So the first scene that was ever written was actually written after I watched Tung Jit Young's To Which My Brother Laughed.
Ah.
Right? Back 2019, 2018, I think. The next day after watching that play, I wrote the first scene of this play. It was two people talking about what it meant to live in Malaysia, what it meant to exist with these identities. And then I never touched the play. Then there was a Singapore playwriting submission, and then I touched the play again. Then it became 5 scenes. Submitted, didn't get in. Then the pandemic happened. And then I touched it again as a slightly different person. So pre-pandemic me, during the pandemic me, different identities, right? I touched it again, and then the play within a play started forming.
Which is clever. I love that the play within the play. Yeah.
Because I've never seen it. I felt like it was something I wanted to play with, right? Then there was the 2024, 2025 me who was grieving. So you had 2019 me, very idealistic, very romantic. You had 2020 me that was trying to figure out how to exist in a pandemic and how to exist in this world. And then there was 2025 me that was dealing with grief. So in a way, I was writing from these 3 voices constantly. There was always love and idealism. There was always this struggling. There was always grief. Yeah.
So you also direct the play,
Yes,
yeah?
yes, I
So
did.
how do you manage to collaborate with the player? Because I thought both of them brought in some different layer of nuances that I really like.
Yeah.
I find the other character a bit inexperienced, but it's a freshness about it as well because it felt real
Right.
also. So how do you navigate that?
So huge credit to my actors, Salman Faris and Anku Arman. They were very collaborative in the process of making the play. We would workshop the work, we would test things out. I was rewriting it in rehearsals. I was listening to their input, we were trying things out. I would rewrite, adjust, rewrite, adjust, until we got to the final version that was staged. So I think with my actors, I had to discover a lot about working with just 2 actors, right? Figuring out dynamics, figuring out comfort
Intimate
levels,
space.
intimate space. Like, I was looking at, because we don't have intimacy coordinators here, right? It's a term that's used in Netflix. So I had to figure out as a director how to navigate that, how to play with that. And I remember my archiver, Prasad, at one point, very early on in the rehearsals, he said, they're not close enough. They're struggling to be closer with each other. And I remember telling him, trust the process. We trust that by the time we're done to staging, we'll get there. And
But that was also benefit.
Yes.
Because why? Because the play within the play, because when they were trying to play a role,
Correct.
they wasn't close
Correct.
anyway. So
Correct.
that I thought that was clever. I thought, this is a good way of covering things
Yes.
up.
Maybe.
But it was clever. It was
Thank you,
clever.
thank you.
Okay. So at the end, did
Yep.
you resolve that problem?
I think so. I think the actors found the intimacy or the closeness that worked for them. There was an exercise we did at one point. See, the thing is, regardless of gender, 2 actors having to stand very close to each other you have to think about safety. You have to think about comfort. So there was an exercise we did where we tried to practice and imagine what each actor's comfort levels are. Are you okay if I touch you here? Are you okay if I touch you here? And then one actor would say green, okay. One actor would say red. So they learned each other. They learned that, this actor doesn't like to be held here. So when they were navigating, it became a dance. I can touch you here, I cannot touch you here. So all of my actions are now going to go here. That was what started happening.
For me, watching it, it wasn't the physical closeness that was close that I thought. It's more of the subtlety of their body language, the intonation of what they say with each other, the eyes exchange. That was say, wow, I love that. I thought that made me feel much more like it's real. That touches me. I thought, wow, that was great.
Thank you.
Was that from your direction or from the improvisation by the actor themselves?
I would say it's a mixture of direction, the choices that my actors make, because I want to give them credit, right?
But you did see what I was talking about.
Yeah, no,
though,
definitely.
Yeah,
Yes. So it was the choices my actors would make. There was the choices I made as a director, but it was also in the script, right? I think the script had very clear that at this point you are magnets repelling. At this point you are magnets attracting. And so the actors were very conscious that the moment the light would shift, they have to be magnets, right? So that played a lot in the direction and the writing as well.
So at what point during the rehearsal process that you think, great, this is exactly the stage of what the story, where it's supposed to stand?
Yeah. So it's actually captured in a reel that is either on Instagram, Theatresauce's Instagram, or my personal Instagram. My archiver Prasad was just kind of like capturing videos and stuff. But when we bumped into Indesini KL Pack, one of our first full dresses, when Lights by Tiva came in, by Sound by Iwas came in, Nefi, my ASM, Sam, my SM, Nazira, my scenographer, when everybody's pieces came in like a puzzle piece, there's a moment where you see this bliss on my face. It's on a reel where I'm like, oh my God, everything's coming together now. But it was only at Bumpin lah. Full dress.
Well, this is all about collaboration, isn't it? Because this year, theme is Colo Beyond, so with collaboration. So would you say that with all this collaboration, do you guys like actually work individually, separate first, and then come and create it, then the magic happen, or everybody suddenly realize that they put all the pieces together at certain moment?
I think I was having different conversations with different collaborators. I think because of the scheduling, a lot of our rehearsals had to be during the day.
Yes.
So my collaborators who had jobs were not there.
Yes.
So they were only able to join for rehearsals at night. So it made for very interesting, because I had some collaborators in some sessions, some not. So they also had to have a lot of conversation with me. A lot of us talking to be like, I want this, I need this, give me some suggestions. And sometimes it was also permission giving. I think I had to kind of tell my collaborators, you can play. Go and play and bring me back what you're playing with. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't work, we'll figure it out. But it required a lot of conversation, actually. People stepping in, stepping out, trying, testing. I'll be like, I like this, I don't like this, change this. It was a very collaborative experience for me.
So towards like the full dress rehearsal, is it where everything fall into places, or you still changing, or it's still like, okay, performing nights, we have something else happening now?
No, I don't think we changed anything by the time we got to performance.
Okay.
I think it was like everything kind of clicked.
Yeah.
We had a very interesting experience. On the day the show opened, we had a bird that came into the set and we couldn't get rid of it. It just fluttered around the space and then eventually it disappeared.
That would have been amazing.
Yeah, so we have a video of it captured where this like little bird comes and it's like sitting on the hooks of everything and it's just watching the play. So the whole time on opening night, it's so worried the bird's gonna like shit on someone or like suddenly appear. It didn't. And so it was really just one of those like little magical moments lah.
Yeah. But I actually really like the way that the lighting works. But Tom, then opening again, then it's a different feeling, different scene going on in, Even the script begins with the writer, right? Theatre, ultimately a collaborative art form. How did collaboration shape the final form of this script? Do you think that they did? Because you did say that when they come in together, things change a little bit. Is there any...
No, definitely. I still remember my ASM and sound operator Nefi. There was a particular moment where she was in charge of cues for sound. And I had wanted the cue in a particular way. And she was watching the scene and she said, Dhinesha, this cue needs to come differently. And I trusted her and it worked out better, right? It's about trusting your collaborators. Iwas, who was doing sound, there's a soundtrack for the play that's on Spotify. And he had built this beautiful soundscape and it was me trusting him that he could capture the essence of my words in sound. Nazira, my scenographer, has this bit at the end where something falls from the ceiling. She built that from scratch, right? And that was her instinct, right? Not mine, hers. So I think it was about getting great people in the room, trusting them, and constantly having conversations.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. So for me though, I've been seeing your production, a number of them now. I see there's certain thematic thing that you have been exploring. I suppose through personal preference as well. And I actually seen that I find them maturing.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Joey.
Do you think so? I mean, how do you think the theme have carried you through in this past production to now?
I think any great artist wants to keep evolving, right? Wants to keep trying. So I think for me, it's any great artist wants to keep evolving, keep trying. So I think for me, every time I attempt a new work, it's trusting that instinct, but also trying to do something differently. So every production, I have tried to do something differently. I think maybe along the way, I kind of forgot the playwright version of me and became director a lot. And this one, I was both director and playwright, but it was the writing that was the core of the work. So now I'm kind of exploring what it is to write again.
Fantastic. Let's wrap up our conversation with verse, and now we shall play by Theatresauce. Congratulations again, Dhinesha, on your nomination. My name is Foo Chi Wei, and thank you for watching.